Hello guys, and I am not afraid that Trump will organize another ambush for the Ukrainian president this Monday, and all because he's traveling with a really strong group of supporters. And here again, I'm very grateful to all the good people around the world, in the European Union, in the United States, Australia, Africa, Asia, who stand together with Ukraine, understanding that this war is not just about Ukraine. It's about the international law that we need to protect if we want to survive the 21st century. It's pretty obvious that tomorrow Trump will not greet President Zelensky and a lot of the EU leaders with a red carpet, with applause, as he did for the war criminal Putin, but I'm confident our position and our vision of the end of this war will be represented in the strongest way possible. Because Zelensky is traveling to discuss Trump's conversation with Putin, which made the American president so excited, together with professionals in politics, diplomacy, and I also believe military. And most importantly, people who realize that threats that Russia, the Kremlin are now imposing, and no, not just on Ukraine or Europe, but the world. Zelensky is traveling to Washington together with the president of Finland, Stubb, who is known as a really great negotiator, with the president of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, with President Macron, with Chancellor Merz and Prime Minister Starmer, with Prime Minister Meloni, and I think many more friends of Ukraine and all the democratic world. And that is already a great victory for President Zelensky, Ukraine, and me personally. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, and that's the only working peace plan, subscribe. I'm sure we will discuss that on the channel sometime really soon. Definitely, weakness is not the best strategy, but that is exactly what we saw during Trump's Putin-Alaska meeting, when the president of the strongest country acted as the weakest person on planet. He let Putin, a renowned war criminal, to take photos with him, listened to the demands of the Kremlin dictator, and accepted the cancelled lunch, did not give interview to the journalist, despite the fact that Trump so much loves talking to the press. All because these negotiations totally failed, but that is pretty natural. There were no reasons to conduct this meeting at all, because Putin lives in his isolated bunkers. He believes he can undermine the unity of the democratic world together with China and Iran, and he did not change his demands since 2022, but a lot of things changed since 2022. And first of all, Ukraine is way stronger, way more militarized and experienced. And the network of our partners, even if the White House is chaotic now, is stronger. And most importantly, perhaps that's the most realistic aspect, people around the world realize Russia is a global threat, especially in union with China, North Korea, Iran, and so on. So, failing to persuade Putin, or not even trying, I will not manipulate this information, Trump decided to pressure the victim, to persuade Ukraine that we need to defend ourselves less, we need to surrender, we need to capitulate. Just because Trump capitulated, we don't have to. These are pretty illustrative memes circulating X, follow me there, the link in the description of this video, that state in war between Russia and Ukraine, the White House capitulated first. That is pretty unexpected. And most importantly, Trump abandoned his demand of a ceasefire. That is exactly what everyone means when saying, let's stop the killing. And it's pretty understandable that for any normal legal negotiations process, you need a ceasefire. Instead, repeating the demands of Putin. Trump wants to sign an agreement with Russia, and we all know Russia never follows any agreements it signs. Throughout 300 years of wars between the Russian Empire and the independent Ukraine, we have signed a lot of them. Between 2014 and 2022 alone, more than 200, and Russia never follows that. If you don't trust me as a Ukrainian, ask Georgians, ask people in Finland, in Lithuania, ask people literally in half of the European countries. Subscribe to demonstrate your solidarity with Ukraine and Europe and freedom-loving American people, and please share these videos. That's the easiest way to fight Russian disinformation, but trust me, this helps a lot. So the demands did not change, but Ukraine, the coalition of the willing, and I believe even American people changed greatly. And a lot of Trump supporters do not support Trump's stance on the Russian dictator and the way American soldiers were made to roll the carpet in front of the acknowledged war criminal. And thank you so much to the people of Alaska, to the people of the United States, to the people everywhere in the world for demonstrating your support for Ukraine. So Putin still wants us to give up our territories and to legalize annexation. An important reminder, after the Second World War in 1945, any annexation of territories were considered illegal, forbidden by the international law. And you know why? Because the Second World War started with these minor annexations, perhaps also described as let's negotiate, let's stop the killing, we have to, agree on something. No, you cannot agree with war criminals, with people who violate international law. And of course, Ukraine will not give Donetsk and Luhansk regions, which Russia cannot conquer with the million lost soldiers, with North Korean troops on the ground during 3.5 years of the full-scale war and 12 years of war in general. Putin is begging for the territories he cannot win militarily. But by giving up these territories, once again, we ruin the world order that you also need. This is definitely something that Ukrainian society will never accept. This will open door to more wars and conflicts and annexations. And also, we have a lot of fortresses, important defensive structures on that territories that protect Ukraine from Russia's moving further. And it definitely will. Because I am sorry, the word of Donald Trump cannot be taken as the security guarantees, same as, this something like the 5th article of NATO. To tell you the truth, as an experienced Ukrainian, observing how Russia undermines the unity, how Russia finances people like Orban or Fico, I'm not sure that the real 5th article will be activated in case of necessity. So something like the 5th article, which, by the way, does not clearly state the presence of any boots on the ground or some serious measures. Our allies, with all the respect, did not react when thousands, actually dozens of thousands of Russian soldiers were joined by North Korean soldiers in Ukraine, on the front lines. These were real foreign boots on the ground from the Russian side, and I did not see any coming from our ally countries. So nobody is buying that. I want to ask you, do you really think that all of this hurry, all of this insanity is because Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize? Because if it's true, it's insane. One of my favorite Ukrainian intellectuals with whom we had a beautiful discussion on the channel here about the dissolution of the Russian Federation states, and I totally agree with him, that this year perhaps the Nobel Peace Prize should not be awarded at all, because that is a year of wars and conflicts. They are growing. We cannot speak about the success of peace processes on the planet. But oh my God, are you prepared to sacrifice the security of continents for the sake of the elderly wannabe dictator receiving a Nobel Prize and thus compromising the whole history of the Nobel Peace Prizes? I wanted to be polite, but having read some comments on Piers Morgan's show where they described me as the OnlyFans model, and you actually gave me a beautiful comment of the OnlyFacts model, and I like it. I have to tell you that this quick decision for any peace, like even if it means continued killings, but they just don't see them, reminds me of Trump and his attitude towards life in general, like describing a quick sex in the locker room. I'm sorry, but I'm a big girl, you know that. Describing that quick sex in the locker room as a great relationship, lasting relationship, I don't know, 50-year long marriage. People, don't let the world collapse just because the man wants a statue to put on the overly decorated now White House. By the way, let me know, do you like these decorations? Because many of them copy the Russian Hermitage Museum, and again, that is not what I like. Subscribe, share these videos, and check my video on the new channel Anna Danilchuk, where I tell more about the behind the scenes of a Piers Morgan show and how I felt there as an ordinary Ukrainian who are rarely given a voice, and I was happy to speak for my people. So I want to say a special thank you to these heavyweights of the politics and diplomacy, people who know way more about this war, about Russia and how it violates any agreements. And this is the president of the EU Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, the president of Finland, who perhaps is my favorite because he knows how to speak with Trump without worshipping him, without looking weak, but just like playing with Trump's ego. And also prime ministers of Italy, of Great Britain, Chancellor Merz, President Macron, and many, many more good people. I was very grateful to read the reaction coming from the Baltic and Nordic states. We are Vikings. So let's remain very determined tomorrow. Please demonstrate your support for Ukraine. We've got a new collection on the channel which may help you work as our ambassadors, and we do need that. And please understand that Russian war in Ukraine will not end tomorrow in the White House. The most important things take place in Ukraine or inside Russia, because everything changed since the start of the invasion, apart from Putin's demands. And now dozens of their regions are on fire. Russia is a no-fly zone. Ruble is destroyed. Black Sea Fleet erased. Cruise missile carriers wiped out, and more to come, because the only way to bring lasting peace is to defeat, demilitarize Russia, and teach Donald Trump. Please share these videos, leave your comments, they help the algorithms, like, and let me know what do you expect from the meeting between the leaders and Donald Trump in the White House. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord. The link's in the description, same as the link to our merch shop. Follow me on Anna Danilchuk new channel, and thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channel, helping me film, write more, and hopefully some more interesting projects are coming. And most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Thank you for pushing your politicians to protect our common future in which Russia is defeated. Slava Ukraini!